Good morning, everybody. I am Jackie, and I'm here to talk to you about AppFiles today. So, for those of you who do not know what AppFiles is a virtual office solution. The two geniuses that I work for, David and Hans, have designed a system that is going to allow you to gather all of the information that you need for your real estate deals that's currently spread out all over the place. Basically, AppFiles is a tool that's going to give you a smooth path from beginning to end of your transaction without having to change between one application or another. Rather, you're going to be able to do most, if not all, of your work in one single program. Things like writing up your contracts, getting electronic signatures, scanning and managing documents, communicating with your broker, communicating with your client. And the most important and exciting thing, you're going to be able to turn your files in electronically. Now, at the same time that AppFiles was created, they were sure to make the system adaptable, which means the system is not going to break down if you choose not to use one application or another. I didn't come from Jupiter this morning to tell you that you have to completely change the way you do your business. I just want to show you a great set of tools, and these modular tools work very well together. And if they make your life easier, if they make sense to you, if they make your work easier, then so much so the better. Okay, so we're all logged in, and the great thing about AppFiles is it works on your web browser, which means you do not need to download any software on any of your computers. You don't need to install any apps on any of your devices. You simply go to appfiles.com, whatever web browser you like, Safari on your iPhone, Chrome on your Droid, Firefox, Internet Explorer, whatever have you. So you go to appfiles.com, and then you're going to see the AppFiles login, which is in blue. When you click that, you're going to get the yellow AppFiles folder. You're going to put in your email address and your password. If you ever forget your password, don't worry. You just click, oops, I forgot my password, and AppFiles will immediately send you your login information. Also, if you're working on the computer, you can check this box that says keep me logged in for 30 days, and AppFiles will remember this computer for a month. Now, we automatically do it on your phone and your tablets. Okay? On the computer, once you're logged in, it looks something like this. On your tablet or phone, it looks something like this, okay? And I'm going to be going back and forth between the tablet and the computer so that you can see what it looks like in both versions, and you'll be able to do your work in any device. All right.
I do like that.
Now,
quick
yes,
question,
yes,
does
Jules.
it run in all browsers?
Yes.
Firefox?
Yes.
Chrome?
Yes.
Okay.
Any browser that you prefer. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the way AppFiles organizes our workflow. Now, we're all familiar with the good old-fashioned file folder, right? We all remember that. We used to get a file folder, and we used to put the name of the client on there and the property address, right? AppFiles works a little bit like that. And also with the old-fashioned file system, we had a filing cabinet. We would open up drawers, put the file in, pull the file out, store the file there, etc. AppFiles works on the similar premise. But what I'd like to show you on AppFiles is our virtual filing cabinet, if you will. Where it says File Types, you're going to notice there's an agent workspace. Within that agent workspace, think of this as your filing cabinet. There's buyer's drawers, seller's drawers, landlord's drawers, tenant's drawers, agent test files, miscellaneous. So in other words, agents, you're going to be storing your work, staging your work, and storing your work in the agent workspace. For example, if we were working with a seller, we would open up the seller's drawer. We would create a file for that seller. We would do our work in that drawer, and when we had a completed, executed agreement, we would move our file from the agent workspace seller's drawer, and we would move it down into the admin inbox and put it in the new listing drawer. Okay? So we're literally moving the file from one area into another. Now when you move your file into the new listing drawer, Jules is going to get notified. Jackie turned in a new listing. Jules will be able to open up that file, and then he's going to be able to process the file as he does already. If the file is ready to go, if it makes its review, he'll put it into the current files drawer. Now you can't see the current files drawer here, but that doesn't matter because wherever your file is located in the filing cabinet, you always have access to it. Okay?
So the agents only have access to their own files.
Correct. The agents only have access to their own files, and the agents can only work in the agent workspace and put files into the broker inbox or into property management. Once you turn a file in, Jules, you'll process it, and then you'll move it accordingly. If it's a current file, you'll put it in the current files drawer. If it's an incomplete file, you'll put it in the incomplete drawer. If it's a closed file, you'll put it in the closed filing cabinet drawers. But it doesn't matter where it is because you'll always have access to it. So James, if you had a seller file and you turned it into a new listing, but Jules processed it and put it in current listing, you would still be able to open that file, put in a new offer, and continue working with it. Or James, if you had a closed listing and you put it in here, and it went into a new listing, and Jules processed it, and eventually the deal closed, and he put it into the closed drawers, but you needed to pull a HUD statement for a client, you would still be able to do that. You always have access to your files, no matter where they're located in the filing cabinet. And we're going to be talking more about that as we do our training. All right. I do want to show you your personal settings. If you notice on your computer, by where your photo will be, there's a personal settings tab. Click on that, and that's going to take you to your personal settings. And it is not taking me to my personal settings. I'm wondering if we...
Mine is.
Okay, maybe... All right. Let me log in again. Maybe my thing froze. All right, personal settings. Ah, there they are. Perfect. Okay. On the computer, your personal settings are found here. On the tablet, your personal settings are found behind this little gear button. On the phone or tablet, if you want to look at your personal settings, you're only going to see 4 options. Change display name, change password, change the email address, log out of all other devices. On the computer version, you're going to be able to see more personal settings. The first thing is display name. Please make sure that your name is spelled correctly. If you want to add a middle initial, you can. If you want to add a credential, you can. Your next personal settings you're going to notice on the computer is My Photo. You're only going to see this on the computer version, not the phone or tablet. Okay? So you have the ability to upload a photo. Now the thing with the photo is it's strictly internal and it's not required. But what we find is it makes for a very friendly conversation. If we're asking Jules a question, our picture will pop up. He answers, his picture will pop up. It makes for a very friendly interaction. So anybody who needs help loading their photo after training, I will be more than happy to do it. The next is email address. Okay, the email address is the email that you're going to use to log into AppFiles. This is also the email address that we're going to use to help you send emails through AppFiles. And you're going to see just how great AppFiles is. You're able to send emails to an outside agent, to a client, and when you do, your client or whomever you send the email to will see that the email comes from you, not from AppFiles. When they hit respond, the email will go into your personal email, not into AppFiles. Basically, we don't want to get in the middle of that conversation. We just want to help you send information and continue your conversation. Now, because of the way the internet works, when you send an email through AppFiles, AppFiles does not automatically put a copy in your sent folder in your email, okay? And that can be good or bad depending on how you like to work. If you're an agent who likes to keep track of every email that you send and you want to have a special file for every client or every property, you can click this button that says copy my primary email address on all emails sent through AppFiles.
Do you recommend that, or does it get cluttered?
It's totally up to you. It all depends on how you like to work. You're going to see just how great AppFiles keeps track of every email that you send through AppFiles. We're going to keep a record of it, date and time stamps. But if you like to have copies and make your own copies, then you can do the copy my primary email address. Now, I noticed one of your...
I'm probably not going to, because if I wanted it, I can always go back into Gmail
Exactly.
and pull it up.
You can at any time make changes. You can at any time make any changes
You can do
wish
that, right? Yeah.
to your...
Okay, so it's not necessary to...
No, it's not necessary. Now, I did notice that one of your agents has a Yahoo email.
Okay.
Okay, now you're going to notice here, it says, who should consider using AppFiles.net email address? .net email address. One of the things I want to mention is that sometimes third parties like Yahoo or AOL do not, or email companies like Yahoo or AOL do not like third parties sending emails on behalf of their clients.
What about Gmail?
Gmail, no problem.
Okay.
So if you have any of your agents who are using Yahoo or AOL, they may wish to click the appfiles.net because you're going to get a higher chance of deliverability. Sometimes if your agents are using Yahoo or AOL, messages get bounced or they don't get sent. And if your agent does not want to change their email address, they can just click use appfiles.net email address. The person who gets it will see that it says appfiles.net, but when they respond, it will go into that agent's Yahoo or AOL. Just FYI, in case they need to know that. Alrighty. So
just to back up a second, so what you're saying is they're not going to be able to, the recipient is not going to be able to determine who precisely sent it. It's just going to say sent from AppFiles.
No, the recipient will see that person's name.
Okay, fair enough. That's all I need.
AppFiles email.
Correct. They're going to see whoever was using, one of your agents was Frank. Frank was using Yahoo. They're going to see Frank Malixon at appfiles.net.
Good, okay. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. The next we have your email footer. Excuse me. It is possible to send your email footer or signature into AppFiles. It's very easy to do. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click copy up here. Then I'm going to go into my Gmail, which will be your Gmail or your tarponcoastrealty.com or whatever email you're using. You're going to compose a blank message. In the to section, you're going to click paste. You're going to put that email address that we just copied, and we are going to send a blank email, or more specifically, an email with just your footer into your AppFiles. So I'm going to click send. Then I'm going to go
with no subject.
With no subject.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to click email footer. I click it once, it refreshes it. There's the footer that I just sent in. So anybody who needs assistance after training, I'll be happy to help you load your footer in.
I couldn't copy mine.
All right, we'll do it. I'll work with you after. Absolutely. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is change your password. Right now, you've all been given a random password assigned through AppFiles. We encourage you to change your password. Pick anything you wish. Make sure it's secure. We don't require uppercase, lowercase, special characters. And you can update your password at any time. This next feature I really love. It's called log out of all other devices. You'll notice it's here on your computer, on your tablet or phone. It's here. Basically, log out of all other devices is an extra level of security. Let's say that, James, you're at another brokerage and you're doing a closing. Your battery dies on your laptop and you need to jump on one of their office computers. You jump on, you check something in AppFiles, you have your closing, your day proceeds, you go home. Later that evening you go, oh no, I never logged out of my AppFiles account and I'm on a competing broker's computer. What do I do? Don't panic. Go to your phone, go to your tablet, go to your computer, and click the log out of all other devices. and any device that you were logged into, AppFiles will log you out, except for the one that you're using. Okay, and the last one I want to talk to you about is your Florida Forms authorization. AppFiles is now a state of Florida forms provider. So the state of Florida would like all realtors to please put in your NRDS number. You can find your NRDS number. It comes on the Realtor magazine that you get once a month next to your subscription information.
So log into the MLS.
I don't know if that's what you use to log in, but you can also find your NRDS number. You can Google it and go to the NRDS website and put how to find my NRDS number. You only need to register your NRDS number once and your last name, and you'll be authorized and ready to load forms. If you don't do it right away, the first time that it asks you to do it, you'll need to do it in order to use the forms. Okay, then I want to show you, if I was on my tablet and I was changing my email address, you're going to notice there are two gear buttons. One goes back to your personal settings, and the little yellow house will take you home. This will take you back to AppFiles. Now, you can create an app file from your phone or tablet or your computer anytime, anywhere. One example I like to show is that, let's say you're in line at the store or a coffee shop and you have your name tag on, and somebody turns around, they start chatting with you, and they say, hey, oh, James, I see you're a realtor. Hey, I should get your card because I've got some properties I want to list. James, right from where you are, you can pull your phone out and you can create a new app file. You can do it from the golf course, you can do it from the beach, you can capture that person's information wherever you may be at the time. So you're absolutely able to create an app file from anywhere, any place. Phone, tablet, computer, laptop. So let's go ahead and we're going to create an app file today, but we're going to work with a scenario. So if you're using a tablet or phone, how you would start your app file is you would go the green folder with the plus sign, you would tap it, and there would be the filing cabinet drawers that I was mentioning earlier. So if you're on a phone or tablet watching this and you didn't know what I was talking about earlier, there's the filing cabinets drawers that I was mentioning. On your computer, how you create a new app file is where it says Your Actions. There's a link in green that says New App File. Go ahead and click that. And what it does is it opens up a new tab or window. So today we're going to create an app file, but we're going to use a scenario, okay? We have a guy named George. He's come in off the street. He's asked us if we would please list his house. So what I need to do is I need to tell AppFiles where am I going to store this file and where am I going to work on it. If you notice, there's a file type and then there's a drop down. I'm going to click the drop down and there are the filing cabinets filing cabinet and filing cabinet drawers that I was mentioning. If we were working with a real seller, I would open up the seller's drawer, and that's where I would stage my file, work on my file, and get all of the important documents in that file and be ready to turn into my broker. But today we're going to do a scenario, so we're going to all select the agent test files. So everyone click on the agent test files drawer, and what that does is it tells AppFiles that is where we are going to store our file and work on our file. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to name our file. Now, Jules, how do we name our file for this brokerage?
Our files are named by street name and then client's last name.
Perfect. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3.
Street name.
Just street name,
Yeah.
so just Main Street.
Main
Main
Smith.
Street, Lucas. Got it. Okay, so everyone type in Main Street, Lucas. That is how we're naming our file. Okay. The next thing we're going to type in is the agent name. This is most commonly used, but most typically, this is the agent of record for this transaction. So everybody go ahead and type your name in. Now, if I was working with James on this listing, I could do comma and then James' name. All right, I don't know my buyer name. I don't know my closing date. I don't know my MLS. I don't know the referral agent. I'm just going to go ahead and put the client's name, the seller name. So I'm going to type in George Lucas.
That's a nice house.
Yeah. All right. Now, at this point, I am not writing transaction data. I am just writing information on the cover of my file. Okay? You're going to notice there's a notes section here. I can put any information I want about this property so that if I glance at this file, I know exactly what it's about. I happen to know that this Main Street address is a condo with a personal sauna. I also know that George likes to get down. He's got a really groovy, tricked out disco room in his condo.
It comes with a Wookiee.
Yeah, and I know that George has this really cute dog named Fifi, but she doesn't like me no matter how many pieces of bacon I bring her. So I'm going to put beware of Fifi. So now I have some notes about this property, and I can glance at the cover of my file and I know what this file's about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click the next button, and now you're going to see something really interesting. Over here on the left, these are all of the available users for this account. Avi, Frank, James, Jerry, Ron, and Ron. Over here, these are the selected users, Jules and myself. I always have access to my file, and Jules will always have access to my file and everyone else's files. It makes sense. He's our broker owner. Now, if I wanted to add Avi to this file because Avi and I are going to work together, I could click on Avi's name and it would appear over here. All right? Now, if Avi comes to me and says, Jackie, I can't work with you, I just got a $10 million listing, I would say, yay, Avi, and I would delete him from my file. Now he does not have access. Okay? So everyone here has access. Everyone here does not have access unless you specifically give it to them. So let's go down here and click Create App File. Now we've created our app file, and on the computer it looks something like this. Information is organized into columns. Over here, this is where all of our documents and forms are going to be loaded and listed, so we'll be able to see them. Over here, Main Street Lucas, this is our information that we typed in for our file. If at any time we discovered something was incorrect, we could always click that blue edit button with the white pencil, change anything, and save our changes. This is the blue button with the white pencil. Here, this is our file access. Our file access tells us who has access to our file. What if I was going to the south of France for a full month and I could not really look after Mr. Lucas and his Main Street condo? I would ask, hey Frank, can you watch this for me while I'm on vacation? And Frank would be like, sure. I go on my trip, I come back, and I can say, Frank, thanks a lot. I can take it from here, and I remove Frank from my file. So use the add user for yourself if you're going to be taking a leave of absence and you need someone to be looking after your accounts. Jules, do you work on your own deals as well?
Yes.
Okay. So Jules, this assign button is going to be very important for you. You're going to see all of the files for this brokerage, and you can also assign your files just to you. So if you just want to look at your deals specifically, they'll be noted for you. Something I want to show you that's really important is called the file mailbox. You're going to notice your file mailbox is located in the lower area of your file access. On your tablet or your phone, your file access is located over here in the upper right-hand corner. The deal with that file access is this. Every time you go through the process of creating an app file in AppFiles, AppFiles automatically assigns each and every individual file with its own unique email address. So for example, for the Main Street Lucas app file that I created, my unique file mailbox is 3@yorkshireinternational.appfiles.com. James, excuse me, James, what's your number?
5.
5. What's your number,
4.
Jules? 4. So you see how we have 3, 4, and 5? It's a sequential number, and it's never going to repeat itself. So just as each of you has your own unique email address that people use to communicate with you, every one of your deals and AppFiles is going to have its own unique email address that you're going to use to communicate with that specific deal.
And the purpose for that?
The purpose for that you're going to see in a little while. I'm going to have some paper that I need to send into this file. So I'm going to want to know that email address. And I'm going to do an example of it so you'll know exactly what I'm doing and why. Okay. Also in your file area here, there's a recent activity section. And basically, every time you interact with a file, you're creating activity. And that activity is going to have its own special place, which is right here. You're going to have things like notes I write about conversations I have with my client, emails that I send in, signature requests that I send out, status changes, questions I ask my broker, things of that nature. And you're going to be well served because this activity area is going to have a complete history log of all of the events for this transaction. So what if we were typing in a note here that we just had with our client and Mr. Lucas told us, go ahead and put a lockbox on my property? What would happen if 3 months from now Mr. Lucas called me up screaming at me and said, who told you to put a lockbox on my property? And I had a note here. I could say, Mr. Lucas, I spoke with you on the phone September 24th at 9:57 a.m. I have a note here in the file, and you specifically gave me permission to put a lockbox on your property. So you're going to be well served in being able to go back to this recent activity area and being able to look at your activities, your log, your complete data log, and you'll be able to go back in time if you need to and look at something or reference something. So this area is going to be important to you. It's going to have your back. Now, if I were working on my tablet or phone, my AppFile homepage is organized behind buttons. And if I was looking at my file info, and there it is, I was looking at it, notice there's 2 navigation buttons here. The blue button will take you back to your file homepage, and the little yellow house will take you home. So if I tapped the little yellow house by accident, and I was looking at my home screen for AppFiles, I might say, wait a minute, where's my Main Street, Lucas? I just had it, it's gone. Don't panic. I can do a search. If I click search, I can type in condo with personal sauna, beware of Fifi, disco room, George Lucas, Main Street. It's going to pull that file for me. Or I can click my AppFiles, and I can find my list of all of my AppFiles. Eventually, you'll have several AppFiles in your AppFile account. Okay, now at this time I've created this. I've created my file. Now I want to put paper in it. Let's load it with some real estate goodness. If I'm working on my phone or tablet, I can add paper by simply doing the drop down arrow, click add forms, and you're going to notice there's another drop down arrow. I click that, and now I can see all of the forms for this brokerage. So you can absolutely create your app file and add paperwork on your tablet or phone. On the computer, how I'm going to add my form is I'm going to click add a form, and what that's going to do is it's going to bring down all of the forms in this brokerage's forms library. Okay, so I can scroll through and I can look for a form by name. If I know I need the lead-based paint disclosure addendum P, I can select it. But what if I don't know what the name of my form is, but I know that it deals with lead? I'm going to go up to this filter area here. I'm going to type in lead, and now only those forms that pertain to lead have come up. This filter area is only in your computer version. Okay, if I clear the filter area and I come up to all forms and I do the drop down, I can select forms by package, or I can select forms by type. If I know I need the FAR listing documents, I can select them. Today I'm going to select a form by package, and later on I'm going to work with Jules and we're going to create some form packages for this brokerage. So I'm going to go ahead and click listing package for a single family. Now you notice there's 6 available forms in this package. I don't have to select all of them. I can just pick the ones that I want. So the first one that I'm going to pick is the exclusive right of sale listing agreement. You notice when I selected it, it went over into this column here. Next, I'm going to click short sale addendum. It went over here. So in essence, I'm creating a mini packet. Now you notice there's a dialog box here. There are two choices. One says add as a single merged form and add as separate individual forms. If I choose the default option, there is a benefit to that. The first benefit is this. If I add these two forms as a single merged form, all of the information is going to sync across other forms in the package. So if I write the seller's name in one form, it will sync into the other. If I change the address in one, it'll change it in all the other.
So we're not going to use form simplicity anymore.
This will take the place of that.
That's great,
Absolutely.
Huh?
Now, you'll see the other button here. This is add as a single form. I'm going to absolutely add it as a single merged form. And the second advantage of that is if I need to send these forms out for signature, I can send them all out at once rather than have to send them separately. So I'm going to go ahead and add these as a single merged form. But notice it picks the name of the first form in the list, which means nothing to me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to call this Lucas Listing Package.
Main Lucas.
Main Lucas. You got it. Main Lucas Listing Package. Should I hyphenate that? Doesn't matter. Okay. So now I'm going to click Add Selected Forms. Now as soon as I add the forms, you're going to notice they pop up. You're going to notice some of the fields are orange and some of the fields are blue. The fields that are orange indicate that information is automatically syncing across other forms in the package. Blue, it will not. But I can work with Jules and we can pre-fill some of these forms with the brokerage information that will never change.
That's great.
So that agents don't have to type it in.
That's a step up from
It's
form
great.
simplicity.
Now,
Less keystrokes.
notice there's nowhere for me to save here. I don't need to. Because if I lose my battery, if I lose my internet connection, the information is automatically saved,
Like that.
which is awesome. Now I'm going to go down here to the property address. It brings up a big box. I'm going to type in 123 Main Street, and we are in Sarasota. What's our zip here?
34236.
34236. Awesome. This is the only place I have to save and update.
Okay.
Is
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
Can we populate from tax data?
You can go to your county tax website, get information, and add it into the form.
okay.
Copy and pasting.
Okay.
Copy and pasting.
What about the MLS?
Can it pull from the MLS?
Right now, because AppFiles is a state of Florida forms provider, we are going to the individual boards across the state of Florida and we are asking permission to be able to upload information from MLS. Right now, we do not have the authority
So
to
not
do that.
so not yet, but it's
We
coming.
are working on it.
Okay.
Okay.
It is going to happen.
We hope. I'm positive. Okay, so now you notice I can continue typing the information on my contract. Now the great thing about this is if I go to my tablet and I tap on there, all of the information that I typed on my computer is now available on my tablet. So I'm on my tablet. So think about this. I can type on my computer where it's easy. I can go and meet my client at a restaurant, a coffee house, whatever have you, bring my tablet, and I can have my client look at my tablet or my note or whatever device that I have that's easy. So my client can literally scroll through, read the contract on the tablet. If I say, George, do you like it? He can say, I love it. And I can say, go ahead and sign here. George can tap on a signature spot with one of these handy pens with the little rubber tip. George can go ahead and sign this contract.
Can he use his finger?
Yeah, I was going
He
to say,
can
could he
use his
too?
finger,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He clicks accept. Now what I just did was called a touch signature. You notice the signature is there. Now what I just did is called a touch signature. You can get a touch signature on any device that has a touch screen and Wi-Fi. Your iPad, your iPod Touch, your iPhone, your Samsung Galaxy, your Samsung Galaxy Note, your Barnes & Noble Note, your Kindle Fire, your Etch-a-Sketch with a Wi-Fi connection. Anything that has a touch screen and Wi-Fi you can get.
Just trying to see if we were awake.
I'm seeing if you guys are awake. Absolutely. Now, this is a touch signature. It's as if we signed a piece of paper and we put it into our computer. All right? Touch signatures are 100% legally valid. Now, I'm going to go back to my computer and I'm going to click Edit Fields, and you're going to notice the signature that I just got out in the field with my client at the coffee bar is there on the contract. So think about the power of this. You can go out into the field, get a signature on a touch screen where it's easy. Your partner, your admin, your broker, your co-listing agent, they're back at the office. They're going to get that signature live. Okay, so it's very powerful.
So that, I see that, and then you're going to show us how we can, let's say our client is in New York and we want to deal with that.
Absolutely. I'm going to show you how we do a remote signature. Now, if my client comes to the office and my iPad was dead and I had to use my computer, I'm going to show you that how to do an e-signature. So my client comes to the office, my iPad is dead, but he wants to sign on the computer. I simply click Sign Here. I type in, my client types in his name, he selects the font, he clicks Next. There's his signature, he clicks Accept. There it is on the contract.
Does he have to do that every spot?
No, there is a way to do it all at once.
Okay.
And of course, there's a record of that, the date
Absolutely.
and time that it captures that, so that there's for legal purposes.
Absolutely.
Got it.
So now what my client just did was an e-signature. Now e-signatures are also legally valid.
Yep.
But there are some banks, some title companies, some mortgage companies, some attorneys that do not like e-signatures because they do not look exactly like the final signatures on the closing documents. If you're going to run into that, you can do the touch signature, and then James, as you mentioned, we absolutely can provide you with a certificate if you needed one. Okay? Now, as Jules said, well, what if my client's not in front of me? Okay, because all of this works great if your client is in front of you. What if your client is across town? What if he's in another city? What if he's in another state? What if he's in another country? What if he's 35,000 feet in the air on his private jet? What if he's yachting, the Caribbean, and I need him to sign this contract? What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a remote signature request via email. And as long as my client has an email address and an internet connection, they will be able to sign that contract.
Without paper.
Without
fax.
paper. Remember, your client need no special devices. They don't need to download any software on their computer. They don't need to install any apps on their devices. They don't need an AppFiles account. They don't need an AppFiles password.
That's great.
Okay, so how I'm going to request or begin that signature request, I'm going to click Signature Request on my computer. On the tablet, I would scroll down to the Actions tab, and I would click Request Signature on my phone or tablet. Okay, so now I want to read to you what this little box says. Basically, for every person who will be signing this contract, we must create an individual signature request for every person who will be signing. I have two people. I have George the husband, Sally the wife.
Yeah.
So I need to create two separate signature requests. Okay? Also,
what if they have the same email address?
Even if they have the same email
that's a pain in the
address,
neck.
yeah, even if your client has the same email address, you can still send two separate requests, one for George, one for Sally. And you can just simply say to your client, George, Sally, you're going to get two emails from me. One is going to be for George, he opens, he signs. One is going to be for Sally, she opens and she signs. I also want to make a note that we are changing the way e-signatures work in AppFiles. In old systems, You send the contract out, the client gets it, they sign it, they send it back to you. With AppFiles, the contract never leaves your hands. Okay? What we're doing is we're creating a virtual signing room.
Okay, so all they can do is sign. They can't redline anything.
Correct.
They can't. Geez, I forgot about.
Correct.
Got it.
So
Good.
we're creating a virtual signing room, and we're bringing every signer in individually. So I'm going to bring George in. I'm going to sit George down in front of the contract. George is going to review it. I can look over his shoulder. I can monitor his progress. I can assist him if he needs assistance. Then I'm going to bring Sally in. Sally will sit down in that virtual signing room. She'll read the contract. I can monitor her progress. I can help her if she needs help. So in essence, we always have control over our client's experience. The contract never leaves our hand. And no matter what device your client is looking at the contract in, AppFiles will give him or her the best available option. If they open in a tablet, they'll do a touch signature. If they open in a computer, they will do an e-signature. Let's go ahead and start that signature request. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to type the first signer. Now we're typing in George Lucas, not Sally. We're doing George's request first. Okay? Next, you're going to see two boxes with check marks. Remember, I was telling you that you have control over your client's experience with this request. Okay, the first box says, do I want to allow my client to type his or her initials and type his or her signature? If I uncheck the box, I am taking the keyboard option off the table.
Right.
And my client will have to use a touch screen. If I leave this box checked, AppFiles will determine the best available option for my client. If they're using a touch screen, they'll do a touch signature. If they're using a computer, they'll do an e-signature.
Leave them checked.
Next, am I going to allow my client to sign at his initials or his signature for the entire document in one single operation or not? Jules just asked that. It's a great question.
That is a good question.
If I uncheck this box, my client is going to have to go spot by spot, page by page. If I leave the box checked, my client will have the option to choose whether he or she wants to sign in one single operation or not. And you never have to worry because
nice.
AppFiles will always tell your client what is expected of them every step of the way.
That's
I
good.
call it jazz hands. It's going to say 4 initials, 3 initials, 2 initials, 1 initial. Your client will know what they're responsible for every step of the way. Okay, see where it says seller signature? I'm in essence activating that. It's as if I put a yellow sticky tab by that spot. Over here where it says activate seller initials, I click there, I activate that. And then you need to read this as the realtor and decide if you wish your client to initial any of these additional spots. I'm going to click next. Now this is client editable fields. This is optional. If you wanted your client to put his fax number or his work phone by his signature, you could request and require him to do so. I tell agents you're typically going to have this filled out in its entirety anyway, so you can click next. Now we come to the email message. Notice it says from. It's going to be from you, not from AppFiles. Where it says to, if you're following along, pull the drop-down box and select your own email address. I happen to know my client's email, so I'm going to go ahead and type in my client's email right now. Okay, so this is where you would put your client's email. Notice it says signature request for George. This is how you are going to handle having husbands and wives sharing the same email address. You say, George and Sally, you're going to get 2 email requests, 2 emails for me. One is going to be for George. George opens. George will sign. One will be for Sally. Sally opens. Sally signs. This is a default message that explains to your client what he or she is responsible for. Notice the word link. It's in brackets. Do not delete that. When we send the email out, we're going to take this link, the word link, away, and we're going to actually put the word the actual link in this contract. So we're going to take this out and put the actual link. As long as your client gets that link, he or she can sign. This is why it looks nice to have your signature, your email signature, email footer in your AppFiles. Next, I'm going to click the next button. I am going to be notified when my client signs. I don't need to let Jules know. He is too busy and will not care if my client signs the contract. Now I'm going to hit request signature. At this time, if I wanted to do Sally's signature request, I could. Now you notice I have an active individual signature request box. It's very important. Let's go over it. See where it says sign your full name? That's my client's name. Email, make sure that you have the correct email. See where it says link status not visited? This is how I know if my client actually opened my email, clicked the link, and read the contract.
Yeah.
So if I were to call George and say, hey George, I sent you that contract, and if George were to say to me, oh yeah, Jackie, I read it, it looks great, I can say, George, you didn't even visit the link. So you need to open the email and click the link. This is a way that you can gently nudge your client along. I've allowed my client to type his signature and initials. I've allowed my client to sign in his initial and signature in one single operation. My client has 2 signatures to complete and 4 initials to complete. I'm going to be notified when my client signs. Now this is the actual link. As long as your client gets this link, they can sign the contract. Now, if your client got the email, but it accidentally went into bulk mail or spam and it got deleted, you could click request, resend request email, and it will send the signature request again. Or worst case scenario, I could click the copy button, forward this link in a different email or a text. What you don't want to do is cancel the request just because your client didn't get the email right away. When you cancel this request, you break this link. When this link is broken, nobody can get to the contract. So if you were to cancel this request, you would have to send a brand new signature request. It'll have a different link. Then if your client finds the first email, this link is going to be broken, and if they try to get to it, they're going to get frustrated and upset. So we tell agents this: cancel the request for 2 reasons only. 1, if you sent it to the wrong client. Oh no, I have 3 clients named George and I sent this to the wrong George. Cancel the request. Or if your deal falls through, cancel the request. And then the link will be broken and no one will get to the contract. At this time, I could go ahead and start Sally's request. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to X out of here. Now, I am going to click my app file overview, which is the green button at the top, and this is like a refresh button. Notice the signature request that I just sent out to George is now in my recent activity. I have a record of it, that I sent a signature request for George just now. In 3 hours and 15 minutes, it will say 3 hours and 15 minutes ago. Okay. So this is my activity. On my tablet or phone, my activity is located behind that little blue button, and I can see that signature request for George. So there it is. Now back at my computer where the blue button is view, I'm going to click that. Now this is the email that my client George received. So let's be George for a minute. Let's pretend we're George. George gets his email from me. He clicks on the link. Here's the contract. Notice right away, jazz hands, your client knows exactly what's required of them. 2 signatures, 4 initials. So your client has to acknowledge that. Now, my client can, if he wishes, to print this document and read paper, or my client can download it. My client can also scroll through and see where I have put those sticky tabs, sign here. My client could even go spot by spot, page by page, and sign an initial. But because I've allowed my client to sign and initial in one single operation, these buttons are here. So let's go ahead and let's be George and let's sign in one single operation. The first thing that George must do is agree to the terms and conditions of the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. He reads, he accepts. Next, your client must say he is authorizing for multiple initials. He says, I accept that I'm initialing the 4 remaining places on this document. Your client can never say to you, well, I didn't know I was signing the whole thing. Yes, you did. You authorized it, you accepted, then you click next. Now George goes ahead, he types in his initials, he selects his font, he clicks next, and now he's going to verify his initials. I accept that the above generated initials will serve as my initials for this document and will be as legally binding as my manual initials. He accepts it, he clicks accept, checks the box. Now jazz hands, 2 signatures remaining. So George can then continue signing the contract. I'm going to stop being George for now. I'm going to leave this page, and now I'm going to go back to being Jackie the Realtor. I'm going to click Lucas, main Lucas listing package. If I click signature request, notice I have a progress report. My client last visited this link September 24th at 10:31 a.m. He has 4 out of 4 initials completed. He has 2 initials left. And what's even more is I can scroll up, click my edit fields. Now I can follow along and see where my client has initialed. So this is the virtual signing room I was mentioning. We always can see what our client is doing. We can check their progress and we can follow along with them.
So go back for 1 second.
Yes, sir. Go back to here.
Yeah. Because he only signed 0 of 2 of the signatures.
Correct.
So so now you got to go back and say, hey George, you forgot 2 signatures.
Well, I purposely left it so that I could get here, but George knows he's got 2 signatures left. So yes.
And the link is still active, so he can go back and okay.
Absolutely.
It's not a one-time use.
No. So maybe he got distracted or something and he stopped. But at least you know that he's got 4 out of 4 done, but he still needs 2 more.
Yeah.
So you are aware of his progress. Okay. So that concludes e-signature. Now, let's just review. We created our app file, which is this, and we called it Main Street Lucas. And we added paperwork from our forms library. But there's 2 other ways that we can get paper into our app file. If you have a scanner at home, you know it creates a PDF. And if you have a PDF that you would like to add here, you can simply go to Upload Files. You can browse your computer and you can select the PDF that you would like to upload into your file. So I just uploaded a PDF, and because it's a PDF, AppFiles put it in my Documents section. So
with the same file name that it had?
Right. Well, my PDF was called MLS. So I uploaded my files, I browsed my computer, I selected the PDF that I wanted, and I added to it.
So if we scan something in, we can just
you can upload it exactly
from the scans folder.
Correct. Now let me ask you this. How many of you, when you scan here at the office, what does it give you?
It gives us why I scan and then the date and time.
Perfect. Does it go to your email?
No, it just goes into the network directory.
We have to retrieve it.
So you can upload it from there. Now, if you ever were to scan something and it went into your email, you would be able to send that.
Forward that email.
Correct. So let's say, for example, you have an outside agent that calls you up. And they say, hey, Jackie, I just sent you a contract in an email. Okay. Yeah, also in that email, I sent you 3 addendums, proof of funds, escrow verification, lender's letter, and 3 kitchen sinks. Best of luck to you. Click. So now I have an email that has paperwork in it that I want to get into this app file. And we all talked about, we all know that there is that special unique file mailbox for every app file we create, right? As long as I have that email address, I'm going to be able to send anything in to that file. So
So even though there might be multiple attachments.
Correct. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my email, but before I do, I'm going to click copy. I don't want to have to write this email down, and I don't want to have to copy and paste. All I do is click the copy button. Now I'm going to go to my Gmail, I'm going to check my inbox, and Hans has sent me a PDF that I need to forward into my email. So in the to spot, I'm going to click paste. Notice 3@yorkshireinternational.appfiles.com is here, and notice AppFiles has created a relationship between Main Street Lucas and 3@yorkshireinternational.appfiles.com. So I don't have to remember that email address again. My email program is going to remember that Main Street is 3@yorkshireinternational.appfiles.com. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send that email with that PDF into my Main Street. I'm going to click the overview button a few times, and what that does is it refreshes the page. So that email with the PDF will appear. And sometimes it takes a while because there it is. Okay. So now the email that I just forwarded in, I have a record of it. It's here. The attachment is here. The attachment is also here. Because it was a document, AppFiles put it in my documents section. Let's open that up. All right, I see that Hans has sent me 23 pages. Wow, I don't even know what's in here. What I should do is I should click Edit Pages, and that is going to give me thumbnail prints of this entire document. And as we wait for it to load, I'm going to start noticing the documents. The first thing I notice is these 4 pages really are my listing agreement. They need to be separated out. So I check each page, I click Split Pages, I tell AppFiles what I would like this to be called, and then I ask AppFiles to please split this document. So now AppFiles is taking these 4 pages, is extracting them from that clump, and is going to put them over here.
I like that.
Next, we have a garbage page that Hans sent me. It's upside down. You can rotate 180 degrees, 90 to the left, 90 to the right. So if you get those garbage pages, blank pages, landscape pages that are upside down and backwards, you'll know what to do with them. Next, I noticed my CMA report, but I notice it is out of order. So I can click Organize Pages, and I can move the pages in the exact order that I need them to be. And then I click Save Changes. So if ever you have a large PDF that's out of order, don't worry, you can organize your pages. So now I'm going to take my CMA, and I am going to ask AppFiles to please call it CMA and extract it from the entire document.
Let me just ask you
Yes.
again, this email that came in, was this one PDF that came in
Correct.
with a bunch of pages?
Correct.
What if it came in with, because we get that where you get 11 TIFF files or something?
I will show you how to do that.
Okay.
Because that is possible to, if you get JPEGs,
Yeah.
you can send them into AppFiles and we'll convert them to a PDF for
Right.
you.
And consolidate them into one document?
Absolutely.
Because it's real pain.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and this is my tax record. I would like it to be split. I'm going to call it tax record and ask AppFiles to please take it out of this clump.
So now once it takes it out, the clump still contains the remainder.
My original is in the email that I sent. And now I have, there's the emailed version, and there's all of the pages. Now this is a garbage page. I don't need it. I'm going to delete it. This is how you can get rid of cover pages, title pages, or blank pages that you don't need. Next, the only thing that's left is a 9-page offer that I don't need to take out anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here,
Yeah.
and I'm going to change the name. Offer by Clooney. I'm going to do the green check, and now the document is renamed Offer by Clooney, and I can just X out of there. And now, what was once a 23-page clumped PDF is now an organized list of documents.
Now, historically, we would name these documents Maine Lucas Offer by Clooney or Maine Lucas. Now, but since it's in this Maine Lucas folder, I don't know if that's that important to do so. However, if it gets emailed out, it's still nice to know that it's...
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I can do, Jules, is I can go over here.
You can rename.
And I can call it Maine.
Maine Lucas, yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's all right. It's the Jewish Lucas.
I can't type to. All right. So there. Now I've changed the name. Very easy. I can keep doing that. All right. Now what I want to do is I would like to take a look at this offer that this other agent sent me. So I'm going to open it up. And the first thing I notice is the price that they're offering me. I don't like it. But how do I make changes to this PDF? You can make changes in AppFiles. Blue button, white pencil, click. I am now making an editable version of this offer. The original is still there, but now I have an editable one that I can play with. So once it makes my editable version, I now have a toolbox where I can play. So I don't like that 450,000. I'm going to do add strike through, single line. I'm going to take my crosshairs, bam, cross it out. Next, I'm going to add a new text element. Tell AppFiles where I want to put it. Type in $475,000. Font size, I'm going to make it 18. I'm going to bold it. I'm going to click Create because I mean business. And there is my new price. Now, because I struck through and counteroffered, I need to do what?
Add initials.
Initials. So I go over to my Add Initials. I do George's first. I can do the date if I want also. I bring it over where I can manipulate it, make it small, then I'm going to move it. Same thing, I'm going to do Sally's. Manipulate it, move it. Now this is ready to be sent off. Now, what if I have 4 signers on this contract? It's a trust or it's an estate, and I need Sally Jr. and George Jr. to sign. When I look at my signing roles, there's no signer number 3, signer number 4. But I can create a new signer role by clicking signer number 3, place signature, scroll down to the page I would like the signature to be. Bam, now Sally Jr. can sign. Over here. Bam. Now George Jr. can sign. And I'm good to go. I don't need to save this. I just X out of there. I go back to page 1. Notice all of the changes I made are there. And if I needed to, I could do a signature request on this document.
And send it out to both of them.
Send it out to both of them.
So this would be the case. You can offer and you want to counter offer. They don't have to print, strike through, make the changes. You can make changes. Say, hey, just after you talk to them, initial this, and we'll go back at 475.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So the workload is up to you at this point. You can add a form through your forms library. You can upload files from your computer, and you can send documents in using your file mailbox. Now, what if I needed to communicate with my client? Let's say I'm going to send George an email, and I have one drafted here, and it says, Dear George, your house is insanely expensive. Please reduce and get real. We wish we could say that, but we can't. We don't want Jules to fire us. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to George. But over here in my blind copy, I'm going to blind copy my Main Street Lucas app file on this email because it's transactional and I want a copy of it. So all I have to do is type Main, M for Main Street, and at my email program remembered the unique relationship between Main Street Lucas and 3 at yorkshireInternational.appfiles.com. Why do I blind copy my file and not let my client see the 3 at Yorkshire International.
You don't want him to email it.
Correct.
You don't want him to reply to.
Absolutely. Jules is right. I don't want my client emailing my file. I want my client emailing me. And then I will decide what goes in the file. Now, if George emails me back, I will go ahead and forward his email. But if George calls me, I can click Create an Update. I can type in George called and yelled at me for 15 minutes.
I told him I'll see him in an hour.
But agreed to reduce the price. So now I have a note of my conversation with George. And all I'm going to do is click Create Update, and there it is. Now I have a note about my conversation with George. What if I wanted to ask Jules a question? Where it says Create Update, I'm going to click Jules's name and I'm going to say, may I have the transaction fee waived? And if I click Create Update, what that's going to do is that is going to send Jules an email with Main Street Lucas in there. So the email is going to have context. He won't get the email and go, what transaction? What is Jackie talking about? Also, the email alert, the update alert is going to show in my app file, and it will show in Jules's app file. Okay, so now I'm done. My file is ready to be turned in. How do I turn my file into my broker? On my tablet, I would go up to File Actions. I would click Change File Type, and then I would move it from the Agent Test Files drawer into the New Listing drawer. On the computer, I go over to here where it says Change File Type, and I change my file type from the Agent Test File drawer to the New Listing. So I'm moving it from one drawer to another. I go ahead and click Save Changes. Now, if you're following along with me, don't do this because I don't want poor Jules to get clobbered with a bunch of test files. I'll just turn mine in. Now we have an update. Jackie the Trainer Kern changed the file type from Agent Test Files to New Listing. So that's AppFiles, guys. Now, Jules will get notification. Jackie turned her file in. He'll open it. He'll process it as he does normally. The last thing I want to show you is AppFiles support. You'll notice there's a golden tab here. If I click on that, that opens AppFiles support. If I'm on my phone or tablet, there's a cute little headset with the microphone. Tap that. That's AppFiles support. You'll notice it's a 1-800 number. You are calling the United States. Specifically, you are calling Jupiter, Florida. And you're speaking with either Lisa or Lee. Lisa and Lee are AppFiles experts. They also have experience in real estate, either as an admin or an office manager. So they know what you're asking them, and they will be able to help you. If you need them to, they can log in remote into your computer and figure out what's going on if you're having a computer issue. Notice it says Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. There are evening and weekend hours. Somebody will be on call. If you call Friday at 7:30, somebody I'm sure will answer. If you call Sunday at 5, they might be at dinner with their family. Saturday night at 10, they might be at a movie, but they will get back to you. If you don't want to call, you can do a support ticket and say, tell us what happened. Help me. I'm trying to do a signature request and I forgot how, or I can't find my file, or whatever have you. Tell us what happened. You can say how you want to be contacted by phone or by email. You can also say your operating system, and you can also say your emotional state at the time. Meditative, excited, happy, curious, worried, angry. It doesn't matter. We will call you back or we will get back to you. Our support system is amazing. So if you leave a message, they will get back to you immediately. And if we get your voicemail, we will continue to call until we get a hold of you. Our current record is 2 hours and 35 minutes. We were on the phone with a client, It doesn't matter how long it takes. We will stay on the line and help you. If you need us to remote in, we can and assist you. So we are here for you. All right. So Jules asked the question, what if an agent sends me JPEGs? What do I do with it? So I'm going to go over here to my inbox, and Hans sent me some scanned images. He said, I don't know how to use a scanner. So I'm going to forward these into my app file. I've already sent some things in to 3@yorkshireinternational.appfiles.com. So my email program remembers it. I just type in M. There's my Main Street. I click send. I go back to my Main Street Lucas. I click App File Overview. I refresh a few more times, and now all of those JPEGs are in my photo gallery. I click Photo Gallery. There they are. In the Actions column, I can convert these photos to a document, and I can call them whatever I want. I can select the App Files section. If I wanted to put this in a listing doc section and create this document, what AppFiles will do, it will convert these JPEGs into a PDF, and then it will put them over in the listing doc section that I created. So it's awesome.
Cool. Yep.
And Jules, you mentioned if I wanted to, I could organize my pages if they were out of order. And I could also separate these pages out. If I discovered that only these two pages belong together, I could do a split, rename it what I wanted, and I'm just going to call it listing doc. And I'm going to split it, and I'm putting it in the listing doc section, and then AppFiles will put it over
and those
here.
two remaining docs, you can.
And those will remain, and if
Yeah,
I
as
want to call
contract or
them
whatever.
something
Yeah.
else, maybe I want to call these main Lucas contract, boom, I'm done, and they're there. Now, do any of you like to take pictures of your properties?
I love it.
Good. All right. So, Jules, I have something that you're going to love.
Well, in fact, we have a spot for the listing pictures to go, and so they can live here.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could upload photos from your computer, select the photos you want, and then add them into your photo gallery. And then once they're added, I can go into my photo gallery.
What about video?
I don't know about video yet.
Okay.
If I select these four, I can change the name of my photo if I wish.
Yeah.
I can crop my photo if I wish.
Yeah.
I can also do medium, large, or small. So if I go back to my photos, I can create a photo album with only those photos that I want to add. Call it whatever I wish. Add those photos, and now I have a photo album. Now if you had a lot of photos, I could publish this photo album as a link. And now I can copy that link, and I could put it on my Realty Facebook page. I could put it on my Realtor website. I could email that link to a client.
Okay, but let's say I need to get those photos and use them and put them in the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Can I? Where are those photos? Can I download those photos?
Yes, I happen to have these on my computer.
Okay.
So if you
Let's
have
say you
them,
did.
if I didn't, I could email those photos.
They're only in AppFiles, and I need to put them on the MLS.
Okay, so you could do either your photo album, you could do your link, you could copy the link and then put that on MLS if you wanted to.
Yep, that'd be a
Your
link
link.
to all the photos.
No, it would only this would only be a link to this Lucas House photo album that I created.
Okay, but I can't just right-hand mouse click on it and download photo.
If you want to, you can download the photos.
Allow download. Okay.
And then
So you email it.
if they're not on your computer and you wanted to send your photos into this particular app file, you could email them in. And
You can email them in. I'm just thinking about getting them out.
Sending them someplace else.
Well, I can create a photo album. I can do a link and then put that link, or I could download them to
Because
somewhere
I
else.
use a program called Listings to Leads, and I want to get the photos into Listings to Leads, and so I would point my browser to my computer or wherever the pictures were, and I probably can't point it to the files that contain the JPEGs of these pictures. So I would want to download these onto my computer so I could point. So can I just download?
Yeah, you can download the pictures. If you wanted to, you could download. And then they're already on my computer, so I'm not going to download them. But
Well, just show me if you were to download.
okay, if I were to allow download actions, I've never. Here we go. Download photos, original size. Download.
Original size.
So then you would do that, and you must select the photos you wish. So you would do that, and then. And then it's working. So it's there. So you want me to show you that again?
Okay, one more time.
Okay. So these are my photos.
I want to download that picture.
If I want to download this picture, I can do large, medium size. I can click download, and then do I want original, large, and then I click download photo, and it will go onto my computer.
Got it.
Perfect. All right. Okay, so those are some things you can do. You can also, if you notice here, change file type. You can create a document pack, which is really nice if you have a listing presentation you'd like to send to somebody, or if you have a short sale and you want to send it to the bank. You can merge forms that are in your file that are separate. You can merge them. You can also copy an app file if you have a client that you're going to list several properties with, and you create one app file for him with all of his contact information. You could copy the file and create like a template and then do that. You can also, if you want, you can scan directly into your file. You need to contact support, and support will walk you through scanning directly into your app file. So there's a lot of features here that you can do with AppFiles. We don't cover everything in the beginning because we don't want to overload people. We want to get people excited about AppFiles and get them logged in. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
I guess, so just to kind of summarize the benefits, I mean, this is really start to finish from a prospect.
Correct.
From the time you meet a prospect, you put them in here, and then that prospect, as it's a repository for all this information. Would this be used for sending out emails to all your prospects? Like if I wanted to, I got 10 prospects that are interested in Lakewood Ranch, and I just want to say, hey, there's an event at Lakewood Ranch.
Absolutely.
How would I do something like that?
Well, if you created a Lakewood Ranch app file with all of the stuff in it, you can from your app file, you can compose an email, and if there was an attachment like a link of all the photos, or if you did a photo document, or if you did a document pack, you could attach that. You could put subject, take a look at this great new listing, or take a look at this listing presentation, or take a look at this great new property. They're going fast, act now, or whatever you want to do.
I guess my question, are there categories for within, like if I have buyers, I got buyers for Lakewood Ranch, or I got buyers for Venice. And are there categories, or would I have to go through and look through all the contacts in there?
You would have to look through the contacts.
Okay.
You're able to, in a file, you're able to create contact information. What I did was I clicked File Info. You're able to create contact information. You can do buyer info, landlord, seller, tenant. You can create these fields and then plug in the information so it's there. As far as doing a large email, the only way that I would think that you could do that is compose an email, and then in your to section you would select, or you could do a blind copy and put all of your clients in there. But you would have to get their emails from one spot and add them into there.
Okay.
But if you had an app file that was of a particular property and you had a lot of things in it, like links or photo docs that you wanted people to be able to
What
see.
about tasks lists?
Tasks are very important, and I'm definitely going to cover those during admin. But let's go ahead and say that Lucas was a prospect.
Yeah, and I want to follow up with him in a week's time.
Absolutely. So this is what I would do. I would create an app file for Lucas. I would put his contact information in the file info, right? And then I would go ahead and start putting his information in.
Okay.
Then I would create a task for myself. Mr. Lucas has 7 houses that he would like me to list. So I'm going to make a note here. Wow. I'm going to make this high priority. I'm going to give myself a due date because Mr. Lucas is out of town and he won't be back into town until November 3rd. I'm going to assign this to myself, and what I'm going to do is I would like a reminder 10 days before the due date. I would also like a reminder 3 days before the due date. The day that Mr. Lucas gets into town, I would like a reminder. So I select myself and create. Now what I have is I have built-in email reminders with the context of the app file in the email. So I can't say, what, who, what do I have to do? I go ahead and I create my task. Now you notice my tasks are here for this particular app file. If I go into my main welcome Jackie, notice my tasks are here. So these tasks don't go away until I complete them. And I'm going to get November 3rd, I'm going to be getting my reminders. Notice I'm going to be getting 4 reminders, 10 days before, 3 days before on the due date. And I have my reminder there. Once I complete my task, I can go complete. I can put, wow, what a great guy. Definitely going to get these listings. And I can make myself a note. I will create 7 app files for each property. And then I have a comment. And now I know I did the task. It's complete. I have a note. And now I can go ahead and start. I can take that first app file that I created, his contact information, and I can make a template for every property. Good morning. Can I come on my group?
Hey.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The contact information that we input, can we, if we want to send out a monthly newsletter, are we able to go ahead and pull up all that information and use that?
I'm not really sure about that because at this time we're not really a CRM. We're more of transaction from beginning to end.
No, I understand.
There is a way that you can pull information. I'm just not sure about that. So I would contact support if you had wanted to do that.
So we're going to be putting everybody in there, and if we could just take all the people that we have in there, generate a newsletter, and then attach all the banked information that we have in there, and then
I'm sure there's a way to do that.
Good.
Another thing that you can do is if I were to add a form, and if I added the as-is residential contract, you'll notice here it says click here to import values from other forms or info fields.
So since we've already had it put his name and the address, go ahead and do that.
So what I can do is when I create info fields and I do, like if I did transaction information.
Now since you already had a form that you filled in with yellow fields, would those convert over to when you add another form?
Yes.
Good.
So you have already put in his name. So go ahead and add that as is.
But what I have to do, this as is I merged it as a single document. So you see there's no orange and blue fields because I put it in as itself. I didn't merge it with other documents.
Oh, okay.
But
so only when you merge it with other documents you get the orange.
But I can merge forms and I can take all of these and merge them together and then call them something different.
Yeah, but we already did the listing package, didn't we?
Yes,
Go
we
to,
did.
Go to our existing listing package.
Right here.
Okay. And that's already been filled in with his name and address. Now, can we add a form to that?
Yes. If I go to my merge forms, and if I wanted to take my listing package and I wanted to add this, I'm going to merge these together, and then I can call it merged.
Now, will the data that you put in...
I don't know. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Please stand by.
Please stand by. Okay, now here's my merged form. This is the excluded right of sale listing.
Right? Yeah.
It already had that in there. There's the short sale, which had the orange fields.
Yeah, I think that was
and
in
then
there.
Let's go to the as is found on, was it found on page, there's the as is. It's
Okay,
not
but
in there.
it didn't. Okay.
No.
All right.
If you merge it all at once, then it does that. Now the other thing I was going to tell you about the as-is contract where it says click here to import values, as long as the values that I put in my info fields match the values here, I will be able to import information.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Seller, address.
Correct. So how, when you put your fields, your info fields in, you have to make sure that the actual exact name of the blank on your form matches the field name that you're putting the information in.
Is there a default that it already has seller, buyer, address?
Right. Well, in the
Seller, buyer.
file info name, I have contact information, there's tenant, there's buyer, there's contact, there's landlord,
And for each one of those, go seller.
So if we do seller, this is all the information that's going to be there.
So go ahead and put George Lucas there.
Okay.
George C. Lucas. Yeah. Or, yeah. George and whomever. Something different. Okay, so now go ahead and add. And so now will that populate the as is?
Right, so when I do the as is, and I click here, where am I getting the info from? My info fields, and then I import values, and then it puts there. So as long as the information matches exactly, it will import. And what I did before is I've made a transaction info field before, and what I did was I made an editable copy of the form, and I clicked on the spots, and then for advanced actions, it would tell me what the field ID is.
Okay.
As long as my field ID matches the information in my file info sections, the information will import.
So, and also, and this question, when we use the as is, can we have, or listing agreement, you know, it's usually 6% listing and 3%. Can I have those pre-filled?
Absolutely.
And then, but the agent can still edit that.
Yes, we do a pre-filled value that the agent can edit, and we do fixed values that no one can edit,
Right.
just you.
Okay.
And I will cover that during the admin session.
Okay, got it.
Are there any other questions for the user? All right, so now what I'm going to do, Jules, is I'm going to keep this here, and then we're going to do our admin session, and now we're going to see what do we do with the form once it's turned in.
Got it.
Okay? If you don't mind, I'm going to use the ladies' room real
You
quick.
may do that.